Okay, you're a music student. If you're watching this channel, you're probably a piano student. And there's something you want to play. So you sit down and you practice hard for an hour. And at the end of the hour, you still can't play it. So there is one trick that will let you make 1,000 times more progress than you did in that one practice session. And before I tell you what it is, let's go through 10 of the most effective practice strategies for music students. It's one of these. So, number 1, strategic, slow metronome practice. That can make a big difference. Mindfulness meditation right before you practice can be helpful for focus. You can find better learning resources. So a better teacher, a better course, that can make a big difference. You can practice by listening and imitating what you hear. And that's really important for some styles of music, especially improvised music. You can try interleaved practice. This is very popular with classical musicians. It's something where instead of practicing in one big block on one piece and another block on another, you kind of switch back and forth between them in shorter parts of your practice. And there's some research that shows that this actually has a bigger impact on your long-term learning. You can do visualization practice. That's good for performance anxiety. You can increase the length of your practice session. You know, if 1 hour of practice is good, 5 is probably better. You can practice patience and wait for the passage of time. You know, practice 1 hour and then do it again the next day and the next over a long period of time. You can practice with other people. That can make a big difference. And you can also increase the stakes. So scheduling some sort of performance or audition can be really motivating for people and kind of kick them into gear. All right, one of these things is not like the others. So this is why I made this video. You know, with its kind of clickbaity title, it might be a little different than a lot of things on this channel. But I understand this impulse so deeply because for the last 4 years, I have been learning to play the violin. And I'm really grateful for how it's helped me understand my piano students because it's really hard. And it's hard to be bad at something as an adult. You know, it's part of why I love working with adult students because I find it really inspiring. All these people who have willingly signed up to be a beginner at a new thing, and we're not used to that feeling as adults. It often leads us, when we aren't making progress as quickly as we want to question whether we're doing something wrong or to start looking for some sort of hack to improve more quickly. And there are things that make a difference. You know, I highly recommend Noah Kagayama's blog, The Bulletproof Musician, if you're curious about this topic, because it's interesting. You know, there are research studies around some of these practice strategies and how they can make a 20% difference in how quickly a student can learn a piece with the same amount of practice time. But I promised you a 1,000 times difference. And maybe if you do all of those things, like 20% here, 10% there, I don't know, maybe it adds up to like twice as effective improvement with your given practice time. So that's great. But 1,000 times, how do you get there? And the answer is patience and the passage of time. You know, if you practice for 1 hour, there is no way that you can compete with a version of you 2 years in the future who has practiced for 1 hour every day. And there are a few reasons for this. You know, one has to do with the importance of sleep. Practicing and then sleeping on it will have a much bigger impact on your long-term learning with things like motor learning. So we can give some sort of boost there. And then also, if you practice every day for 2 years, even if it's only a 1 hour session every day, you've practiced something like 700 hours. 700 hours is a lot more than 1 hour. And it's also so much more than you could ever practice in one single day. So it's important to remember the scale of these things when we're impatient in the moment and you feel like, oh my gosh, I just need to push myself harder. I'm not getting there fast enough. I have that feeling all the time learning the violin. And it's funny because I've been playing music my whole life. I should know by now how important it is to be patient. but it's human nature. We want to get there as fast as possible. So it really helps to remind ourselves of the scale of these things, the scale of the project of wanting to learn a musical instrument. It's a really long-term process. And I've taught so many piano students over the years, so many different kinds of piano students, from kids to adults with all kinds of different musical backgrounds. The one reliable predictor of their current skill at the instrument when they start working with me is how long have they been playing and how consistently are they practicing over that period of time. People have lots of different aptitudes for music and different goals and different quality of instruction. But really, there is one thing that makes the difference, which is just kind of the overall volume of time that they've spent on the instrument. So they can be really helpful, if you're comparing yourself to other people or to some idea you have about how quickly you should make progress. Time is the main factor. So the takeaway here is just, if you want to get better at your instrument, do make high quality practice a priority and make it a part of your life. Enjoy the process of learning and improving. Enjoy the beautiful music that you can already make now, I'm sure. And stick with it for a long period of time. And compared to the progress that you can make in a single day, if you do this consistently for a long period of time and you look back at where you were 2 years ago, there is just no comparison. And it doesn't have to be 2 years either. There are people who, they join my membership and they do my course, and within a period of a year, less than a year, I've seen people go from very little keyboard skill to being able to learn songs by ear, make their own arrangements, and perform them in front of other students in the live class. And that's thrilling to watch. I mean, those are typically students who are really lit up about music and they are consistent in their practice, but they're not doing anything, heroic. They don't have to blow up their life and only practice piano from morning to night. No, they're just consistent and they stick with it. And I guarantee those same students a year from now will be playing that much more beautifully and confidently. So this is your dose of motivation for today. Make music practice a part of your life and stick with it, and all of your musical dreams will come true. With that, my name is Ted with Piano Fluency. Now go practice.